Okay. I am live now. Hello, everybody. My name is Kelly Enston, and I am the owner of Kelly Kinetics. A little bit about myself before I begin. I'm a former registered nurse and turned into a personal trainer. Been a personal trainer slash fitness coach for the last 12 years, and I'm also a professional Middle Eastern belly dance instructor and performer. So today, what I'm going to talk to you about are hacking undesirable effects of prolonged sitting, living, thriving, and being resilient. So, first thing I want to do is ask you a question. How many people here in this group find themselves sitting for long periods of time in the work that they do? I know that as entrepreneurs, many of us work from home, and so this is definitely something that we're all doing. Even if you work in an office, you'll be sitting for long periods of time. So how we handle it at home versus the office will be a little different. I have another question for you. How many people here have noticed that their posture is starting to decline? Either it's already declined or you started noticing little changes through COVID, and now all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, why am I like this? My head's forward, my shoulders are like this, or maybe there's some other things going on and you're just like, my God, I don't look or feel the same way that I did. So how many of you have noticed these things? Also, I want to know, what symptoms have you experienced since working at a desk for longer periods of time? So there are any number of things that can be related to sitting for too long. Some of these things you wouldn't even necessarily think are related to sitting, but in fact they are. So ask yourself these questions. Feel free to leave a comment in the comments section. I'd love to see what everyone has to say. I recognize this is Easter Monday, so I don't necessarily expect anyone to be on right now, and that's perfectly okay. It's too nice out, right? So feel free to watch this after the fact and leave your comments and questions in the comment section. So the next thing I would like to do is just share with you my own experience. As a kid, I was known for my posture. I remember my mom and my aunt talking about how they could see me from a mile away on my bike, and I had the most upright posture they had ever seen. So I prided myself on my posture, and I did ballet as a kid, and this just carried my good posture throughout life. And even when I had desk jobs, was a full-time student, this never seemed to faze me. But recently, I noticed a bunch of things that I had never felt before. And these are all things that a lot of my clients deal with. And I'm like, wait, what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't happen to me, right? and so I'm like, I had tightness in the chest. I was constantly feeling a ton of stress in here. I also have an anterior pelvic tilt. And that could be related to sitting, but it can also be related to the fact that I have fibroids, and I'd rather just let them be and then see if when I reach menopause, like my doctor said, they'll just start to naturally dwindle and shrink in size. So that's what I'm waiting for. But perhaps because they're big and they have some weight to them, maybe that's pulling my posture out of alignment. Kind of the same thing as when a woman gets pregnant. They can develop lordosis in the low back. Anyhow, I digress. So this is my story. I'm at the point where I'm going to reassess my body and develop a new program to help strengthen what has become weak and stretch what has become tight. So that's a whole other story. I just thought I'd share with you where I'm at to let you know that you are not alone. I think because I work a lot from home now, mostly online with clients, and once in a while I'll get out on my mat to do things with my clients online, but for the most part I'm sitting in my chair. Whereas I used to be in a gym constantly, so I'd stand most of the time or I'd sit on the floor and then I'd get up and I'd constantly be up and down. And now there's not a whole lot of that. So I really need to get on top of this. And why, you may ask? Well, some of the effects of sitting for too long. There's a long list, and what I list off here isn't even necessarily all that there is, but this is some of what you can exhibit, like symptoms that you can show. You may have headaches. You may be tight through the traps and the shoulders and the chest, so this whole area up here. You may have forward head posture like I showed before, rounded shoulders. Now, as a result of postural changes, other things can happen as well. So our organs can become compressed and therefore start to decrease in their functionality. That doesn't sound too good, does it? We can also have decreased optimal oxygen intake. So when this happens, obviously well, not obvious, but it is the oxygen in our lungs isn't getting to the rest of our body, or actually we may not even get enough oxygen to our lungs if we're like this. Our diaphragm isn't able to expand fully as it should when we do a deep diaphragmatic breath into the belly, and therefore, lungs aren't getting enough air, the rest of our organs aren't getting enough air, our blood isn't oxygenated enough, our blood isn't traveling as far as it needs to be through the body, therefore we also are going to have decrease in circulation, poor circulation towards the outer extremities, fingers, hands, toes, feet, right? All right, so I talked about oxygen, diaphragm, shallow breathing. Very common in most people. Everybody's breathing up in the chest, up into here, and getting more and more stressed as time goes on because we're at the computers like this, and we're like this, and then even in that position, because we're not in our proper alignment, I'm not able to get enough oxygen in here right now. So I'm breathing only in my chest. If I bring my shoulders down, open up the front of my body, and I take a deep inhale in through the nose, now everything below the chest is expanding and everything is getting air. Okay, so that is the importance of that whole thing. Then you might have tightness through the hips because we're sitting in a chair. This shortens the hip flexor area in the front of the body, and going into the quads they go into the abdominal area and then through the front of the hips. This whole area can be tight. We may have decreased mobility, flexibility, functionality overall. The glutes can become weak, and there's something called in our industry called dead butt syndrome. So if you've got dead butt syndrome, that leads to a whole other set of issues in the body. So definitely not something you want to get. Besides the fact, if you want to have a nice shaped butt and look great in skirts, look great in jeans, look great in dresses, sitting does not help you. Anyhow, the last thing I want to mention is eyesight and our eyes. Sitting for long periods of time in front of a screen is not the best for our eyesight. I was watching David Suzuki, The Nature of Things, the other day, and he was talking about his process of aging and what he's going through, and showing us the tests that he's been getting done. And they had this cool eye test where they look with some machine or whatever, and it shows you how much I guess fat is in your, I forget if it was fat, but how much is in your natural tears. Oil, that's it. How much oil is in your natural tears, and they show you. And he actually had a good level, and they showed someone younger who sits in front of a screen all the time, who it was much drier looking, and you couldn't see the liquid. So they recommend blinking while you're in front of the screen. Very often we get stuck, sealed to the screen, right? And then we never blink, and that will cause problems in through the eyes. So if you sit in front of the computer all the time, start blinking more often. Okay, so that's my list. There's definitely more things that can happen as a result of sitting. This is just a basic list right now. So what I want to know next is, how many of these things that I listed off have you noticed in yourself? Also, how many of these were you even aware were an issue developed by sitting for too long? And I'd love if you share in the chat, out of the 12 things that I mentioned, what number out of 12 do you have? How many of these things do you have in yourself based on sitting? I think that's a great question, and I'd love to hear from the crowd what you've got there. So next, and I must look at my notes, because if I don't, I'm going to veer off track entirely, be at 30 minutes, and then be like, oh my God, I didn't talk about this, I didn't talk about that. Okay, so now I want you to think about, how have these physical manifestations and changes from sitting for too long affected other areas of your life? So I have a list of things here. I'm going to list them off. But if you feel that there's other things other than what I share with you that are affecting you, or are being affected in your life, feel free to share in the comments. Your sleep and how rested you are, how focused and productive you are, how stressed are you, how are your relationships with your friends, family, and other loved ones? What's your relationship with yourself and your mind, body, and soul? Your relationships when it comes to your business, how are they doing? And your ability to take on multiple demands on a consistent basis. Okay, so think about all those things. Are they being affected? How are they being affected? And have you done anything to try and improve them? Also, if you have not seen effects like these to date, do you really want these areas of your life to be negatively affected because you sit for too long at your desk? Think about it. Life-altering changes just because you sit too long at your desk. This is crazy, right? So, also, if you see how sitting has affected you now, or even if you haven't run into this issue yet, what do you suppose will happen to you and your life 5, 10, 15, 25, or even 30 years from now if you don't take action? I encourage you to stick around to the end of this live so you can hear more about how I can support you through this. Now I'm going to share some basic tips on the types of things that you can do to avoid these undesirable things, or to reverse and improve and be released from the negative effects of sitting for too long. First tip, and you've probably heard this before, but the question is do you do it? Get up every hour and move. So if you're at your desk, whether you're in an office or at home, get up every hour and move. Put an alarm on, set it for like 5-10 minutes if schedule allows for it, and move. Even if it's just walking around, move. If you're at home, it could involve getting up to put laundry away, getting up to do the dishes, getting up to make a snack. The point is, just get up. If you feel like it, you can put on your favorite song that's like about 5 minutes long and dance like nobody's watching, right? Your body will love you for it. You're moving, and you'll feel much better when you go back to sit at your desk. Another thing you could do is, if you're already trying to combat the effects of sitting for too long, is specific stretches targeted to the areas of your body that have been assessed to be tight. Or you may just feel that these areas are tight, you want to stretch them. And also you could do mobility work, 5-10 minutes, that's it. You can also look at ergonomics. So, is your workspace optimal? Is your chair a high quality chair? What height is it at? How do you sit in it? Is the back supportive? All that stuff. Your desk, is it too high, too low? Have you gotten around to getting a sit-down, stand-up desk where you can alter where you are in space while you work? Where's your keyboard located? You know, there's a whole other set of issues that can come from too much mousing, or like where your keyboard is in relation to the height of your chair and your desk, right? So it's definitely an important piece. You know, where is your eye line looking at your desk? Are you looking straight, or are you looking down at your screen? You know, or are you looking up too high? All these kinds of things are important to look at. You can also, third point, move and stretch while you're sitting. If you're not on a meeting online, you could be just doing some different things with your feet and moving your legs and doing stretches in your chair. This is another option. Another option is taking a break from your desk to practice various types of breathing. There's 2 practices of breathing that I do and I teach or coach people in. There's basic diaphragmatic breathing, which for some people is not so basic, and activated breath. Another thing I like to tell people about is it's really important to stay present to where your body is in space. So you may ask, Well, what do I mean by that? Well, for an example is, so I have some clients that have postural issues, so I develop their program, strengthen the weak areas, stretch the tight areas, doing all the proper stuff. But on their breaks, they'll go back into their regular thing. So you need to be practicing your proper posture all the time. Even if you stretch the tight areas, strengthen the weak areas, and then you go back to walking around the way you always do, or taking your minute long or 90-second long breaks on your workouts with a trainer, if you go back into this, nothing that we do is going to benefit you as greatly as if you practice what needs to become natural. At first, staying up in a proper upright posture may be uncomfortable, but there's going to be a turning point, where being in proper posture is real comfortable, and going back into this is really painful. So that's the goal. This is comfortable, this is painful, not this is comfortable and this is painful, right? So also, in activities of daily living, are you aware of how you're holding your body? So when you're brushing your teeth, are you brushing your teeth and your whole body is in alignment and neutral spine, from the head down to the toes? Or are you reaching forward or down to brush your teeth, right? So optimal, not so optimal. Washing dishes in the sink. Depending on the height of your sinks in your home, and your height, it may be perfect or it may be not so perfect. And if you're having to do this to cook, to clean, and everything like that, that is not going to help you. So you've got to start thinking, how am I going to rework this? Because unless I plan to spend money on renovating all the sinks in my home, I got to figure that one out, right? So, oh, and the biggest point I wanted to touch on here is, the more that we don't keep the head neutral with the rest of the spine, and this starts to happen, and this starts to happen, not only are you going to manifest the issues that come with this, but there's also the whole dowager's hump thing. Sometimes you see people with these humps here, but also the muscles, the deep neck flexor muscles that are deep inside of here, if they become weak, no matter how much you strengthen the rest of your core will never be as strong as it should be or can be, because this is an integral part of your core. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that. There are ways to strengthen this set of muscles, and I actually also get clients to practice this, especially if they have the forward head thing. I get them to practice this in order to turn on the full core, and they notice it. So very important. And then, of course, strengthening the weaker part of your body. With a coach, you can be programmed the absolute proper things for the issues that you present with. You can't just strengthen everything, because you could cause other imbalances in your body. So these are some basic tips and strategies for how you can help avoid, improve, and the undesirable effects of sitting for too long. Not sure if you've ever heard this, but sitting for too long is somewhat of a silent killer. So if you want to look great, feel great, thrive, and be resilient for your entire life, even if your work requires you to sit for long periods of time, there are ways to hack the health issues that come your way. Don't let yourself become a casualty of a sedentary job. I'd like to offer everyone who has come to the end of this live a couple of freebies. One is a PDF of some basic dynamic stretches that you can do 5-10 minutes every hour. And they all come with a YouTube link. It also offers a video on diaphragmatic breathing. If you want this, put it in the chat now. I want the PDF. I will email it to you. Please direct message me your mail address, or just put I want the PDF, and I'll find you on Facebook and DM you myself. Also, if you'd like to learn more about activated breath, which I mentioned briefly today, you can join me on Saturday, May 20th, 10:30 to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom for a workshop called Vanish Limitations. You can register by going to that's bit.ly/Vanish Limitations now. I swear by this method. I've been practicing it daily, multiple times per day for 3 years, and keep getting amazing results because of it. For anyone that feels that they fall into the category of requiring more support, I invite you to join me on a discovery call. The link is provided in the live post description, and it will lead you to my Calendly link. We can discuss what you are experiencing, what your goals are, and how I can help you move forward to a thriving and resilient life, and not worrying so much about how sitting has affected you negatively. I also plan to have a webinar or a workshop developed on this topic, which will go into much more detail in the near future. If you want to stay up to date on when that is going to be launched, please check out the link to join my mailing list, which I do believe I've also provided in the description of this live. Thank you for watching this entire live presentation, and if you watch after the live has been posted, I look forward to hearing your feedback, your questions, and hearing more about you and your experiences with what's going on in your body because of sitting too long. I wish you all a happy Easter Monday, a happy Passover to those of you who are celebrating that, and I hope you're all enjoying the wonderful weather outside. I intend to go back out and enjoy that myself too. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.